Hey, so once you reach the end game in Division, you're going to find yourself in an endless grind to try and increase your gear score. Now if you don't really know what that is, then you need to learn, and this video is going to explain everything you need to know about the gear score and how to increase it. So once you get past level 30 and finish the whole story, you'll notice that the current level is no longer part of your character. Instead, you've been replaced by something called the gear score. So this works the same way as it did in Destiny, and I'm pretty sure that's how it was in Division 1. I didn't play it. But the gear score is simply a combination or an average score of all your pieces of gear. Now, I don't really understand why it has to be this way, but it's sort of a way of making you level up without having XP anymore. I don't know what the problem with XP was, but this is how it works. So when you pick up a piece of gear as you progress now, you'll see that each one has a score related to it. So I've got 320, 319. Your overall score is the average based on everything you have. So all you have to do is equip higher level gear score items and you'll increase your average gear score. Now the problem sometimes is you'll find gear like this piece of armor here where the armor score is actually higher than the piece I have here with the better gear score.
Incoming backup request.
Now I've given priority to the gear score, and for a good reason. And that's because gear score only drops within your range. Now by that I mean if you're level 300, you're not going to find a piece of armor with a gear score of 350. It's relative to your current level. So I think the limit is 15. So if you're 300, you're only going to find something that's 315 or lower. So you need to equip the gear as soon as you can. That extra point on your average gear score means that you'll find another piece of armor in the wild that's 1 point higher again, or 15 points higher than your average. So you have to equip the stuff as soon as you can. Now I know it's a pain in the ass because it's difficult to find new gear, it's hard to find missions. At this point now, there's nothing left on the map to do. But you can actually go back and replay all of the main missions in the game. Now you probably noticed at one stage in the matchmaking that you can select difficulty. So you've already played the game on story. If you want to go up and play it on normal you can, or if you feel like a real challenge, play it on hard. Playing on hard will give you the best drops, but obviously it's a hell of a lot harder. And if you're having trouble with matchmaking, like I have since I fucking started playing this game, they're not the kind of missions you really want to do alone. So balance it whatever way you want. If you want to play on normal, you might have a better chance of finding people to play with, but all you have to do is replay the main missions. Replaying them over and over, it might get a bit grindy, so you might shake it up a bit, but that is your best way of finding new gear. As with the leveling up before, if you go to the control points, also a very good way of finding some new loot, because each time you complete it there's a stash. You can do the dark zones if you want. There's something I've not really put much attention to yet because I find them pretty boring, but they are meant to be a great way to get some loot. But regardless of how you source it, the way to increase it is to equip better gear, and there's several ways to get better gear. Now to the example I gave with the knee pads here where they're higher, you can use the reconstruction station here to actually increase the power of a weapon or a piece of armor. So like say for example I found this was actually better than the one I have equipped. Now say you can know the way the recalibration system works, where you can take an attribute from one item and transfer it to another. So say I have one rifle with a headshot value of plus 20%, and I find a different rifle with a headshot of plus 100%. I can take that attribute from one gun and bring it to the other, and because it's an improvement, it will take the gear score of the item that you're consuming. So I have a weapon down here to use as an example. So say this was the weapon I wanted to equip and it was the best gun I'd ever seen and I really want to use it. I can go into the recalibration here, and this one has plus 91% headshot damage. If I have a different rifle with plus more than 91%, I'll be able to take the gear score from that item and use it as this one. So this has a gear score of 308 right now, and this has a higher headshot damage weapon. So if I consume that, you'll see on the top right now my gear score is going to go from 308 to 323. So it's going to consume that whole weapon and take the higher gear score as well as the higher attribute. But it has to be a related attribute. So I won't go into big detail about how this whole system works, but just say I tried to take something different from that same rifle, it doesn't give me the bonus because I'm still only taking 15%. It's just in a different area, but it doesn't matter. It's only 15%. You need to increase those numbers, and that's how you increase your gear. So you should have the perk now. If you go to your man out the front here, that lad, buy the increased inventory space, you should then have 100 spots in there. Go out and do a ton of missions, hoard all the gear, equip the good stuff as you get it. But when your inventory is full, come back here, see what you can deconstruct and see what you can kind of make out of that, improve your weapons. If you can actually improve it, all the better. Now you've got a quick way of getting 3 or 4 more points onto your average gear score. So the point is just to try and get that up as quick as you can, as fast, as often as you can. It isn't so easy when you get into the 300s, but it's still doable, and as you defeat higher level enemies on the hard mode, you'll find yourself getting the maximum height of the good gear. So that's everything there is to know now about the gear score, so best of luck getting on with that.